Hello, friends. So I'm back from my break, bringing you a new season of episodes. To give you a little context of where I am and what I'm doing, it is 5 o'clock in the morning. These are actually the first words that I've said today. And I have been thinking about this podcast for a while. And actually, the topic I'm talking about today, I first took notes on back in July of last year. But for some reason, I just couldn't bring myself to the mic to move forward. But this podcast and the episodes and the topics reminds me a little bit of when I buy a book. Sometimes I feel the need to buy the book, but then I don't feel that urgency to read it right away. And I always end up reading it right on time. So I hope this episode for you is also right on time. The topic of this episode will be things you know but need to hear. And I want to talk about all the things you already know, but sometimes you just need a little boost. Sometimes you need that reminder. You need someone else to remind you to give yourself grace. And I always feel that a little encouragement can go a long way. So I hope something that you hear today lifts your spirits or provides some confirmation that you're already going in the right direction. Number 1 is rest is not earned. It is simply a necessary part of the human experience. And I know we all know this, but how many times have we been exhausted and so tired and said, just one more thing, or I still want to do these 5 more things, and we just don't allow ourselves to rest. And then over time we pay for it because when we're not well rested, we don't have mental clarity, we don't have our typical storage of energy. Rest is not always just about going to bed on time at night. It could be taking a day or 2 off during the week from workouts. It could be resting your eyes, so taking some time away from the computer screen. I think that you define rest, but everyone needs it. Number 2 is bare minimum sleep provides bare minimum energy. So kind of related, but this one really is about sleep. And some of us have strayed away from bedtime rituals, and we've also strayed away from removing those distractions that help us to begin to get sleepy. Now, last night, I am a bit of an example of that. I got about 6 hours and 40 minutes of sleep last night, right around there. And it's not the worst. It's definitely not my worst night of sleep. But I think one thing that got in the way of getting really solid rest is I had too much screen time right before bed. So I did take my Tarte Cherry supplement, but I didn't feel that typical feeling of slow drowsiness as I get close to that descent into sleep. And that's because I downloaded a new game. And I think that even though I felt it was a really relaxing and fun game, it was probably stimulating me. So tonight, when I go to sleep, I'm going to try to do a better job of just maybe reading a physical book or stretching or just doing something that doesn't require a screen to be in my face. Number 3 is it's okay to ask for help. Now, this is a tough one. I feel that sometimes when we talk about asking for help, we are a little bit tone deaf and a little bit condescending. We talk about hyper independence and we sort of blame the person who isn't asking for help. But the truth is, many of us have lived our lives with not a lot of reliable people in it. And that makes it tough to ask for help because who do you ask? But in those safe spaces where you know that you can ask, I want you to entertain the idea that you are not a burden. And what burdens people more when they love you and they know you is to find out that you were struggling and you didn't feel safe to go to them. So in those safe spaces, ask for help, whether it is your career, your personal life, whatever it is, it's okay. We're meant to lean on each other. Number 4 is if you're going to do something, you might as well do it now. All you do by delaying your start is delaying the journey to improvement. This is another one that applies to so many different things. I don't want it to take hitting January 1st or waiting till a Monday for us to start correcting our behaviors and starting to build the habits that take us along that journey we want to be on. You got to start somewhere. Most things will become perfected as you go. And if it's on your heart and it's keeping you up at night and you think about it every single day, just start. And as you start, the next steps will be revealed to you. Be brave. Just start. Number 5 is the most perfect routine is the worst routine if it's not suitable for your lifestyle because you know you won't be consistent. I think this concept really is about being realistic and giving yourself grace. I'm going to use myself as an example. I love watching the What I Eat in a Day videos, but I have to remind myself when I watch them that I'm only meant to glean from it. I'm not meant to copy it because I might be watching someone who's younger than me, older than me, doesn't work a full-time job, or does work more than 40 hours a week, maybe has a different budget than I do, different amount of time. So creating a perfect routine that looks perfect on paper but might actually be detrimental can actually really set me back because then I will be feeling restricted and then I'll also feel really discouraged once I fall off because if it's not a good routine, trust me, I'm going to fall off. Number 6 is people-pleasing takes on many forms, but the obvious thread is not prioritizing ourselves or saying yes to ourselves. I had to realize that people-pleasing is not just a person who cares about the opinions of others. It's not just a person who can't say no to maybe birthday parties or trips or different things even when it's not in budget. It's a lot of different things. And we need to build our lives around what not only feels good, but sort of contributes to where we want to go, who we want to be, and how we want our lives to feel. And we have to start saying no to things that no longer align with that. And we can do it unapologetically. Now, a lot of people will say, we'll just say no. No is a complete sentence. It is, and there may be instances where you just say no, but I like to build bridges with the people I know and I love, so it's okay to give more of an explanation and say, I really am not able to do that. It just doesn't really align with my budget. And then to offer an alternative. I can't go to your birthday party, but I would love to take you for dessert sometime next week. Can you please let me know when you're free? So there's a way to say yes to yourself and say no to others in a way that feels good for you. Number 7 is you don't need one more opinion. You already know what to do. Trust yourself. Some of us are addicted to advice. And by the time we get done asking so many people for advice, we have drowned out our own voice. And when we drown out our own voice, we don't give ourselves a chance to build our discernment muscle. You got to just do what you know to do. And if that turns out to not work out for you, just remember that you can course correct. Don't be afraid. Number 8 is what you water consistently will grow. I think that's a simple one. But what does watering look like to you for your life? Maybe some of the things I said previously also relate. Maybe saying no to some things will give you the opportunity to water what's important to you. Number 9, friendships are like trees. You plant them and water them, and they take years to provide shade and shelter. I say this because I'm in a season of life where I'm wanting to build some new friendships, but it really takes some time. There has to be a bit of history there before it really feels like a super solid friendship. And I'm learning to have patience because a friend that I met 6 months ago will not have the same depth with me as someone that I met 6 years ago, oftentimes. And so taking that time to continue to water those new friendships requires a level of patience, but it can pay off. It just, again, takes some time. And my last one, number 10, is routines are meant to bring you freedom, not restrict you. So if your current routines are not doing that, it is time to switch it up. So I'm saying that because sometimes we know that it doesn't feel good, but we have convinced ourselves that we need to do it for a little bit longer and maybe it will get better. But you could maybe set a time limit and maybe reflect on, okay, if this doesn't feel good or doesn't yield results in 2 more weeks, I'm going to reevaluate. I am not a fan of trusting the process if you have not audited that process. So these are just some things that I've been thinking about and thought I would share. Sometimes these little reminders can just help us provide ourselves with more grace. We got to give ourselves the same grace that we give others. And yes, we have goals, we have aspirations, but there's no reason to be so tough on yourself that there's just no room for flexibility when life shifts. So that is it for now. Thank you so much for listening and be well.